Today we're going to work on Beeber, our 2003 Honda XR50. Last time we worked on it, I tried to pinpoint an engine noise. I couldn't find it, so I put it back together. And I'm not going to worry about it. It runs good, and the engine was clean inside. May come back to it though. What we're going to do in this video is install an LED Lightbar headlight.
Whoo! I didn't know you were getting one of those! Sorry. Carry on.
Camera Girl hasn't seen this yet. It was $10.99 from Amazon. I made a diagram of how I plan to install the light on the motorcycle. From the factory, Beeber didn't have any provision for a lighting system. So I need to install an alternator that will create AC power. The AC power will go to the rectifier, which I also purchased for this project, and turn the AC into DC through these two wires because the light bar needs DC power. This part is optional. I may have to install a battery or a capacitor after the rectifier. If I don't, the power will come directly from the rectifier. Negative lead will go to the light bar, positive lead will be switched so a fella can turn it on and off. If the rectifier doesn't like not having a battery, I'll try to install a capacitor instead of a battery. If that doesn't work, I'll install a battery. The reason I'm hoping that I can use a capacitor instead of a battery is because it'll be lighter, and if I have a battery, I'll be inclined to rewire the machine so that the headlight only works if the ignition switch is on. Because I wouldn't want it to be possible to turn the motorcycle off and leave the headlight on. That would drain the battery, and batteries don't perform well once they've been drained. But hopefully it won't come to that. We'll see if it works with nothing here, or maybe a capacitor or capacitors. But a configuration like that would be kind of experimental. I bought some capacitors. I don't know how they'll behave. I don't know very much about electronics. Might be interesting though. I don't have all of the parts yet to do this little project, but a few of them arrived in the mail, so that's what we'll work with today. The alternator, also called the lighting coil, generator, or stator, is still in transit, so we can't do anything about that, but I do have the rectifier. This is just a universal 12-volt regulator rectifier. The two wires in the middle, pink and yellow, represent these, and the green and red are the other ones coming out the top of my diagram box. So earlier today, I figured out where I can put the rectifier. I took off the bodywork so we can access it. There's an unused tab right here with a nut. See that? Mm-hmm. I don't know what was here. It might have been a crankcase breather canister, but nothing's there now. And if I position it just right, the rectifier will fit in this area. It'll only be secured with one bolt, so it's not as robust as it could be, but how easy it is to mount it here compared to making a bracket and putting it somewhere else,
I like pudding,
is worth the reduced sturdiness in my mind. Alright, the rectifier's bolted on there. Let's see what else we can install. Battery and capacitor are either or at this point. We won't know if we need these until we get power going through the system. I have the switch though. This is just a cheapo, $7. Where do you think it should go?
Oh, it's got to be on the left.
I agree. A lot less going on over here. It'll balance. Alright, I got the switch installed, and Camera Girl is going to check the action. Go ahead.
Very nice. I think you just wanted to film me because of my pants.
You got me. I like your elephant pants. I think it'll be nice to have a headlight on here. If this works, the same wiring and same components will be applicable to all XR50s and CRF50s manufactured within the past 25 years.
I kind of matched this little motorcycle today.
Yeah? Because you're cute and kind of small?
The colors is what I was thinking of. Give me that.
It's been a few days since we filmed that last clip because I decided to wait until the rest of the parts came to continue this project. And this morning, in the mailbox, I found aluminum spacers. I'll show you what we're going to do with these later. And an alternator. The box says that it's for an XR50. Don't know what it should look like, but it's convincing. I need to take off this cover, remove the flywheel, install the alternator, put it all back together, and hopefully never see it again. All right, we got the cover off. Now I need to remove the flywheel. This might be easy, might not be.
It's like that thing the dentist puts around your tooth when they're filling a cavity in the back.
A band.
I can't stand that thing. It hurts.
So, hopefully this won't hurt. Got it. That was the easy part though. The flywheel is pressed onto the tapered crankshaft, so I need to thread a puller in here to remove it. Hopefully it'll pop right off. Yeah. And there's the original stator. Looks similar except that it only has one winding and this one has wire around all of the poles. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 poles. No checks.
Is it supposed to be corroded like that?
Where do you see corrosion?
I don't know. This, like, what is that? Like rust?
A little bit of rust, yeah. Got the old alternator off, and you were right. There is evidence that the motorcycle spent some time in the wetness.
And look at this in the pan thing. Look.
Well, it did spend some time outside. Remember, we bought it from outside.
Yeah.
Let's see if the new stator fits on here. Looks pretty good to me. So I'll get all this bolted on. Do you want to watch, or do you want to swoop around to it being all installed again? Got the alternator installed and the motor put back together. The original stator had 2 wires coming out of it, blue and black. I've already got those hooked back up to the motorcycle. The third wire, which is orange, is the AC power that needs to go to the rectifier. Half of it anyway. Yellow will connect to orange, and pink will connect to the frame of the motorcycle. How do you like my eyelet and bullet connector job I did?
Very nice.
Thank you. Did that when you weren't looking. I'm using this existing ground bolt to connect the pink wire to the frame. I think it's important to keep the AC and DC parts of the system isolated from one another. So I'm not going to be using the frame as a DC ground. Okay, got that tight. And if we consult the diagram, we've got the connection from the alternator to the rectifier finished. Orange and yellow is right here, and pink goes down here to the frame of the motorcycle, which is connected to the alternator electrically because the ends of all those copper windings are soldered directly to the part itself. The next thing we need to do is some testing to see if we need a battery or capacitor. What I want to do is mount the light to the motorcycle, connect it directly to the rectifier, start up the machine, flip the switch, just see what happens. See if we get light, see if we get smoke.
Smoke is always exciting.
I'm already a little bit disappointed in this light bar. I didn't order a Maraca, but I got one. There's also a discrepancy in the power rating. The Amazon listing advertises the light bar as being 30 watts of power. But when I received it in the mail and looked closely at the specifications, they say that same 7-inch light bar is only rated at 6 watts.
Trickery.
Trickery. Deception. There's sneakiness everywhere. Unless I just don't understand. Maybe it's a different kind of power rating. But I think I know what's what. The mystery brackets that I made a couple videos ago are what we're going to use to install the light bar on the motorcycle. If you come over here, you can see how they'll go. Right on the clamp, held in place by this Allen bolt. Got both the brackets mounted on the motorcycle, and you can see the reason I wanted that little underhang. It locates the bracket against the clamp, so it sticks out straight.
Yeah.
And now I can show you what these spacers are for. See how the distance between the brackets is a little bit too big for the light bar?
Yeah.
If my math was right, these should just perfectly take up the slack. You like the way that looks?
Ah, that is very nice. That's the only option you had for headlights.
Now, just need to see if we can make it work.
Okay.
So here's the wires coming from the light bar. If anybody is following along instructionally wise, take note that the light bar did not come with bullet connectors. I put these on when you weren't looking. It came with spade connectors, which I don't have as part of my set. Red is going to be power out from the switch. Black is going to be our DC negative going to the rectifier. Kind of a stretch to get these connected, but this is just temporary. And I have one more. This is positive DC power. And isn't that nice when there's no extra wires?
Very nice.
Now if we start up the motorcycle, turn on the switch, maybe it'll work. Ready?
Yes.
Runs anyway.
Yeah.
And one of my wires got disconnected, but I'll just turn the switch on and connect the wires and see what happens. Think you can keep it running here?
Yeah, I'll try.
And contact.
No light.
Ooh. Nothing. So the easiest possibility doesn't work. I have to think about this for a minute. I decided what we should do is hook the system up with a battery because that's how it was designed to work. And make sure that it works that way. Maybe some of these components are broken right out of the box. I don't need to start the engine for this test because the battery has electricity in it. 10 volts coming out of the battery. Not a real healthy battery, but good enough for our test. Everything's hooked up the same as before, except that a battery is wired in right here on the negative and positive leads coming out of the rectifier. So switch is off, the leads are connected to the battery. I don't have a free hand. Can you switch that switch? See if anything happens?
Woo!
Okay. Not very bright, is it?
6 watts.
6 watts. Next test is to start up the engine and see if the DC voltage at the battery goes up. That'll tell us that the rectifier and the new generator are working to charge the battery.
Okay.
So now I'll touch the wires and my multimeter probes to the battery. I'm hoping for more than 10 volts. Oh. Something isn't working the way it should. I figured out the problem. Took me a minute though. On this connector to the rectifier, red is going to pink and pink is connected to red.
They sent that to you?
Somebody made a mistake down at the factory. So I've been trying to force power into this thing the wrong way. I'll reconnect it how it should be, see if it charges the battery, or if I've already fried it.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Wasn't my fault this time.
No, but it's still funny.
I got the wires matched up correctly in the connector now, and the electrical system is reconnected just like on the diagram. So I'll turn on the multimeter, start up the engine, and see if that battery charges. Well, it looks like it already is putting out voltage. Look, it's not even hooked up to the battery. Wow, so that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Not where it should be though. We should be seeing about 14 volts. Oh, it's thinking about it. I don't know about that. Rev it up a little bit. Well, that's better than it was. Just for fun, let's try to turn on the light with no battery connected.
It's on.
It's on.
Maybe you don't need a battery.
It flickers though. You see the flicker?
Yeah, but if you give it the beans.
I could live with that. How about when we hook it up to the battery though? Does it flicker then? And battery. Oh, cleans it right up.
Nice. So what do you want to do now?
Well, we gotta build a box for the battery. What we should do next is try to substitute the battery for a capacitor. Because a capacitor and a battery are kind of the same thing, kind of different. They store energy just differently. It would be really nice if I could just tuck a capacitor away somewhere on the motorcycle instead of having to mount a battery. Looked nice when it shone brightly there.
Oh yeah.
On capacitors, the negative terminal is always marked. So we'll connect this, start up the motor, see how that light looks. That ignition switch always gets me. Right. Light on. Whoa!
Very nice.
Just a little capacitor does it. If I remove the wire,
Flickering.
it's got the stutter, it's got the flicker. Wow. And the brightness stays the same regardless of the engine RPM. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
So all I need to do now is put the wiring together neatly on the motorcycle, figure out how to mount this, and we'll be done.
Do you think you still need to replace the rectifier?
Good question. It wasn't putting out as much voltage as it should, but that could have been just because the battery only has 9 volts in it. I've ordered another rectifier preemptively, and when it arrives, we'll test it, but until proven otherwise, we'll assume this one's good. So I'll get this buttoned up. You think he looks good in red?
I like the red a lot.
I bought new plastics for Beeber a while ago. Wasn't going to install them until I could do a dedicated Beeber beautification video, but the thumbnail for this video will look a lot better with fresh fender, number plate, and left shroud.
Oh yeah.
The wires are connected and tucked onto the motorcycle permanently. This is wired faithfully to the original diagram.
Oh, and there's the capacitor!
Yeah, I zip tied it to this little tab next to the ignition box. If anyone plans to do this project themselves, the capacitor is a 10,000 microfarad 25 volt part. I think the light bar is done.
How about you light it up one more time for the send-off?
For the send-off.
Yeah!
All right.
Is the key on?
Key is on. Light switch is off. Turn it on once it starts. Because I can do that.
Woo!
Beeber! Looks pretty sharp. Thanks for watching.